Welcome, everyone, to the Global Mindfulness Summit around education in the world. I'm really excited today to have our guest, Pateka Mtintsilana, hope I pronounced that right, from coming to us today from South Africa. And she has some really great preschool programs that she's going to be telling us about that she's running in the area. We have a shared passion for early childhood education, so I'm really looking forward to talking to you today. Thanks so much for joining us on the summit.
Thank you very much for inviting me. It's really lovely to be sharing with you.
Yes, thank you so much. So Pateka is the manager of Loaves and Fishes Network, which is a nonprofit organization, and she's been working in nonprofits for over 35 years. She has a degree in mindfulness-based intervention, and she mentioned that she just knew she had this passion and she knew that she was going to work in nonprofits. And today she's going to tell us a little bit about how she does that through preschool teachers. So very excited to hear that. So let's start. Just tell us a bit about why did you choose to do your degree in mindfulness, or what was your first kind of experience of mindfulness, and how you decided to go into that field?
Yes. Firstly, thank you very much for inviting me. And firstly, when I started with mindfulness, I went on to the MPSR 8 weeks program, which I was invited by one of our psychologists. And from then, I just thought, it just spoke to me. It touched some things that I thought, I knew they were there. They were just lying dominant, dormant in me, and I think I embraced the course, and then I just felt I needed to know more, and I was fortunate to be sponsored this program in Stellenbosch. So it's a 2-year program, and then to correct you also, it's not a degree, it's a certificate, okay?
Okay.
It is a certificate. So I went in there and I just enjoyed it thoroughly. And from the beginning up to the end, I just thought, mine here is just to give back to my community, because the community I work with is a community that is it's poor communities, and there's a high prevalence of child abuse and women abuse, and also it's poorer communities that I'm dealing with, and I felt it for me to have come across mindfulness, it just triggered something that I needed to know, and I needed to do in that community, which for me, I interpreted it as mindfulness could be a conduit to awaken Ubuntu, which Ubuntu is our way of living as Xhosa people, that or as Africans in South Africa. Ubuntu talks to us because you are because I am.
Beautiful. Yeah.
So Ubuntu is very much a compassion related with your neighbor. Your neighbor cannot go hungry if you have something to eat. So we live in a world of sharing. We were brought up in a world of sharing, that a neighbor cannot be hungry, a neighbor cannot be in need. You cannot watch somebody being beaten up and you don't do something about that. You have to intervene, so that's our way of life. So due to the introduction of the Western civilization and all that, our Ubuntu has eroded in a way. So for me, when I got into mindfulness, that's when I saw that, mindfulness is talking to our nation, is talking to our communities. Therefore, for us to bring back of Ubuntu, let us just start with the mindfulness practices, and then we will definitely get where we are supposed to be getting.
Wow, beautiful. I love that, and I love the passion that's just coming through you about this. So tell us a little bit about why you decided to focus on preschool teachers and how you think that the mindfulness practices maybe filter down to children that way.
Right. All right. We are supporting about 30 educare centers in
Okay.
our organization. So that comprises of about 47 preschool teachers that we are training. They come to our offices for training, and then we go to their centers to mentor them. So one of the things that they deal with on a daily basis is dealing with children coming from broken homes.
Okay.
So I realized that, somewhere you have to give the women that we're dealing with some sort of strength that says, I'm okay, I'm grounded, these kids need me. I have to give my all. I have to give that compassion because I'm with these kids for 8 hours. So when they go home, they must be stronger kids. So that was my take that, we needed to intervene in a very passionate way, in a very compassionate way to these children, because when they go back to their home, it's a bit hard. It's hard because of violence. It's hard because of poverty. So once they come to our centers, the centers that will support, they must find all the love that they need, to be better people. That's one of the reasons that I felt that mindfulness will fit in very well with this, with our intervention.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, beautiful. So what are some of the challenges that you face? And has it been widely accepted, or is there still some hesitation with bringing mindfulness into your community?
It's been accepted because
Yeah,
mindfulness is a very it's a very mindfulness it's a very simple, it's a very simple approach
yeah,
to your being. Very simple because it starts with you. You don't
yeah,
start with other people. Once you talk to people about their own breath, the simple thing of breathing, and they become to light up, it's something that they've taken it for granted. So that's my approach. My approach has been, first of all, just listen to our breath. Just being quiet and listening. How many breaths are you doing? If that breath could disappear, what would happen to you? And then when we start like that, you're starting on a softer way that refers to the person, and then you go deeper. Once you go deeper, you are able to, people, you don't even have to probe. People come with their own challenges. They talk freely because the space is conducive for them to trust
yeah.
you, and you give your heart.
Yeah, beautiful. And tell us a little bit about what what have you seen personally? Maybe give us some examples of how this is helping the community and how maybe children have been influenced, obviously through their teachers in
Yes.
these practices.
Yes. All right. I think the practical ways that one has seen mindfulness has been, for me, the opening of your preschool teachers, because somebody who's going to tell you that my childhood was very difficult.
Yeah.
My childhood was difficult because I was brought up by very harsh parents. Or my parents could not afford food for us. So we used to be kept in the neighborhood. And I don't know my mother. And I grew up having to find a way of living myself. For instance, one lady was sharing a story where her mother had to go and work in Johannesburg, and she was left with relatives. And during the course of being kept with relatives, she was raped constantly from the age of 12. And now you are introducing mindfulness to us, and you are telling us about acceptance, about non-judging, about letting go. How do I let go all those years of misery?
Yeah.
And my mother did not understand. So those were one of the things that we had to look at ourselves, at our, if we're saying this is a teacher that is supposed to be looking after these children, and this woman is wounded. She is wounded. That means then the people who are expecting to look after children on a daily basis are people who are sometimes not ready to look after kids.
Yeah.
They need somebody to help them. And sometimes they go there not because they love children, but they see them as these are the easy targets for bullying.
Okay. Oh, okay.
So those were the experiences. It's been experiences of different forms. Sometimes that that violence did not come through parents. Sometimes it came through the marriage itself. So how do you deal with your own children if the father of these children is very abusive? How do you bring them up in that type of home? So those are the type of things that we're dealing with. And we understand them because we're dealing with that very, 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 very community that we know that it's marginalized anyway.
Yeah.
It's a community that does not have psychologists to go to say, I've been damaged, can you help? So that's the type of community that we are working with that made me feel that this is the type of work that we need to do that is not going to cost any money. For a person to be mindful, to be aware of what's happening around them, it will help them to grow. It will help them to sustain whatever, difficulties they're in.
Yeah. Wow. That's so moving. Really wonderful, wonderful work that you're doing. And yeah, as you say, we really need to help the people that are then teaching these young children that they can do so with love and compassion themselves. So it's just wonderful. So and you translated the program into your own language. Maybe you can tell us a little bit about that. I actually never heard of this language before. So yeah, tell us about that.
Yes. All right. And I think from earlier on, my approach to mindfulness was when I decided that it is going to be one of the ways that I'm going to give back to my community. It was automatically mindfulness. It's a language that is it's not easy in English, and also how do you tell people about mindfulness, because when you're talking about mindfulness, it's very difficult to interpret mindfulness to a person who does not understand what mindfulness is about. And isiXhosa is a very difficult language. And but I was determined that it has to go into isiXhosa. If I'm introducing to the community that I'm working in, it has to be in the language that they understand. Also, because I wanted to integrate it with Ubuntu. For people not to reject this concept.
Yeah.
So I had to link it with what do we do in Ubuntu that we are doing that is similar to mindfulness. Mindfulness, the awareness. How do you interpret awareness in isiXhosa without using so many words? For us, our language is a very rich language. You can use one word meaning 5 things. So I had to use that and try and, okay, how do you say mindfulness? Aware, people think aware is, okay, I'm aware of something, and but the awareness of self is something that is very big in Xhosa. So I had to be always check myself that this is the type of Xhosa that is being spoken in this particular area. And this is the understanding. Other people in another area, they will understand it in another, but it will be the same Xhosa. So I had to be very careful of that I use the language that is used in a particular area, and then use the language that is, it is also isiXhosa, but has got so many meanings of different words.
Right.
So, yeah. For me, it was very exciting. It was challenging because our Xhosa in our day is mixed with English. So I had to be aware of that all the time. But it was a challenging thing, but it was lovely.
Yeah, I can imagine it, but it would have been very, very challenging. So, Pateka, tell us, what are your dreams, your goals for this program within your community and within South Africa? How do you think mindfulness can help the people that you're working with?
For me, for the program at the moment, it's introduced to our preschool teachers.
Yes.
And the advantage that I have in my area is that we try and work closely with parents as well. Because for us, each and every preschool that is in a particular village or community, we want to see parents supporting that for different reasons. One reason is for security, and the second reason is for education, making sure that parents understand what is happening in the preschools and also give that support. When children learn at a preschool, parents must embrace that and be curious to know that, what have you learned today? What were you doing? How is it done? It's only that way that they can understand that their children are actually smarter than them. And yes, and it amazes them. It amazes them. So what we've done, we started with a program, having a parents program that we called Positive Parenting. About it must have been about 4 years ago. So we had a psychologist that was doing that. And then when I was introduced to mindfulness, and I thought, what we needed to think about is mindful parenting. So once we've introduced the mindful program with our preschools, we're going to go to the parents with mindful parenting, because we just feel that we need to assist in that way so that the whole community can benefit from a particular center that we are supporting, that we've introduced mindfulness, and then the parents will be introduced, and therefore it will snowball into this particular community that is pretty mindful.
Yeah, wonderful. I think you know, it's so important to get parents and the community on board, so it's a cohesive plan of bringing that to the children. So that's wonderful that you've already got that in place. So tell us about, are there any events or things happening within your community or within South Africa that might be of interest to our viewers that's linked to this topic?
At the moment is August in South Africa is a it's a women's month. So okay. one gets that opportunity of talking about mindfulness when you are invited to events, which is actually very nice. But one thing I must say, in South Africa, mindfulness is mostly in your, it started in your, I'd say, affluent areas.
Okay. Yeah.
Yes. So you'll find lots of your affluent people, that live in suburbs, that they understand what mindfulness is. So it's not it's big in that area, but it's not big in the area where I am. Yes.
Okay.
Yeah. But I'm hoping
wonderful that you can bring it to them.
Yes. I'm hoping that in years to come, it's definitely going to grow. It's definitely going to grow in the years to come. Once you're dealing with your ordinary people, it's going to be easy to snowball.
Yeah, wonderful. So just before we finish today, is there anything else that you'd like to share with our audience about what you're doing, or just any message that you would like to tell our viewers?
I think for me with mindfulness, what I can share with my audience, I think it's for me, it's been I think a way of life, and I believe that in practicing mindfulness, I think for South Africa, once we grasp that, it's going to awaken a lot of our Ubuntu. It's going to awaken Ubuntu. It's going to bring us back to that compassion that we have, regardless that our country is not poor, but we've got challenges, so many challenges, and many challenges that are actually taking us backwards a little bit. But I think with mindfulness, it's going to bring hope. Once we are mindful, once we are mindful, we will be able to look at ourselves with a positive eye. And that will actually help our country to go forward.
Oh, thank you so much for sharing your passion and full work that you're doing with your community. It's just wonderful to hear about the program and what you're doing and the impact that it's had. So thank you again for joining us on the summit. And we will have Pateka's website if you want to learn more about loaves and fishes, or get in touch with her. We will have that information for you on our speaker bio. And thank you again for sharing with us today.
Thank you very much for inviting me. It's really very lovely to be part of your program. Thank you.
Thanks so much.